Before moving forward, I'm going to explain the React Redux here, the state management library, which I am going to utilize in this application for the management of state. What is state, what is prop, everything is explained in my previous video where I have developed the Batman versus Shocker game using the React.js. Let me show you an image. This is the basic structure of the Redux, in which a UI component just like login or sign up creates an action. That action will be dispatched to the reducer, and that reducer will change the state inside the store, and from that store the state will be ejected and given back to the component. This is the basic hierarchy of the Redux. So what I need action creator, I need types of dispatch, I need reducer, and I need a store. Let me define all those things in my application. To utilize Redux in my application, I'm going to define some more folders. It will be action folder, then there will be the reducer folder, and then there will be a folder which will create the types of action being generated by the individual UI component, and then there will be the file store.js which will contain every state of the application. I'll explain action, reducer types, and store of Redux in a while. Now I shall create the action types. There will be two type of action types. One will be the authentication, and the other types of action will be error. Whenever any error will be generated, these type of actions will be dispatched from the UI component. So I'm going to define action types inside the authentication action. So let me define activation types .js, and the other one will be login types .js, and then sign up types .js, password reset types .js. I have defined all the action types for the authentication. Now let me go into the sign up types where I will define the sign up action types will be an object of sign up actions. When sign up request will be generated, then sign up request action will be generated as well. Then if it will be successful, when we get successful sign up, then sign up success action will be created. Similarly, if it is failed attempt for sign up, then I'm going to copy and paste it here because it will be exactly the same. Hence, sign up fail action will be generated. After creating the sign up types, I have created activation type, login type, logout type, password confirm, and password reset types. All these types are almost same. Just like login request will be generated, if there will be success, then login success type will be dispatched, and if there will be the failure, then login failure type action will be dispatched. The logout is only having one action type, that is only logout. We will see how we will utilize the logout functionality as well. I shall export every type through the index.js file. I'll export everything from activation type, and similarly export everything from login type, and everything from logout types. All actions have been exported through the index.js file. Now I will declare the types for the error types. Error types.js, and there will be the index.js to export the error types. There will be only one error type which will be imported, and that name will be get errors. And I'm going to copy and paste it here, and I'm going to export everything from error types. I'm going to close all these files, and then I shall move toward the actions. Here is the action folder. I'm going to create an other folder, authentication here, and in that I'm going to create a file, sign up actions.js. Going to import sign up types from the types and authentication types. Import get errors action from types and error types. Here I am going to import XCS from XCS, the package which I haven't installed yet. I'm going into the terminal and going to install npm install XCS. XCS package has been installed. Now I'm going to define the action which will be the sign up action, and it will take few arguments which will be the first name, last name, email, and the password. It will asynchronously dispatch the action when user will click on the sign up button after filling all the required fields like first name, last name, email, and password. Then sign up request action will be dispatched to the reducer to change the state in the main store accordingly. After signup request, XCS post request will be generated with some configuration and the data which will hit this endpoint. User is giving us the endpoint to create the new user, which require the required fields, which are first name and the last name. In our case, the password and the username field is email. So we will hit this endpoint. I'm declaring a configuration object which will be sent with the post request and which will contain headers, content type, and the content type will be application slash JSON. It is smaller O instead of capital O. Now I am going to declare the data which will also be sent in the form of JSON to the backend, and the data will be comprised of first name, last name, email, and the password. Before sending the post request, I'm going to create another file with the name .env which will contain the environmental variable. So it will contain React app API URL. The URL at which we are going to make request from the front end, and that will be localhost 8000. Now I am going to send the post request. It will be in the try catch block. If there would be any error, then that error would be caught in the catch block, and it will use await because it is async dispatch. Await access dot post. It will wait for the feedback coming from this post URL and process dot env dot the URL will be react app API URL slash, and this is the auth where we will enter in the user URL, and the specific URL to create the sign up is the users. So, and data required for this specific endpoint is data, and the configuration required is configuration object here. If post request will be successful, then sign up success action will be dispatched to the reducer like this. Sign up type dot sign up success. If post request will fail, then there will be error and catch block will catch that error. I'm going to declare an error object which will contain the message of the error dot response dot data and status of the error dot response dot status, and after that the action will be dispatched, and that action will be sign up type dot sign up fail. Similarly, another action will be dispatched which will be from error. The error action which we had defined earlier, and with that there will be a payload, and that payload will be the error object which I have created so that I can show that error message on the front end. Now I shall go to the reducer folder where I will develop authentication reducer, and the second one will be the error reducer. In the authentication reducer, I am going to define another file. The name of the file will be signup.reducer.js. In this, I'm going to import signup types, and after that, an initial state will be defined that will be is loading. It means when user will click on the submit button, then spinner will rotate and it will check whether is loading is true or false. Based on the true or false of is loading, spinner will rotate or spinner will disappear. Second one is signed up. I want to check whether the user has successfully been signed up or not. So this state will check that. Defining the initial state, now sign up reducer will be defined and exported. Export constant sign up reducer. Any reducer takes two arguments. Number one, the state which we have defined just now, that is initial state. Second one is the action. The action is being dispatched from the action creator from here, like this dispatch. This dispatch will go into the reducer, and reducer will check which type of action has been generated or dispatched by the action creator, and it will change the initial state according to those action types. Going to use JavaScript destructuring here for the action types. I'm going to define const type that will be action. So action, it means action dot type. So I'm going to use switch statement, that which type of action has come and which type of action should be taken by the reducer to change the state. Number one, when there will be sign up type dot sign up request. When sign up request will come, then what will be returned? It will return that is loading true. The second case will be when sign up type dot sign up success. When there will be success, then what will happen? Then it should return is loading false and is signed up true. Okay. Now third case will be if sign up type dot sign up fail means sign up process has been failed, then what will happen? It will say is loading is signed up false, and similarly is loading is false. If no case will match, then there will be a default case. What it will return? It will return the state that will be the initial state. It is smaller t instead of the capital T, and now I'm going into the error reducer to define the error reducer. That will be error reducer.js, and I'm going to import get errors from, it will be from the types and it will be from the error. Now we shall define the initial state, which will contain the error message and error status like this. At this moment, error status is null. Now we shall define the error reducer, and exported will be error reducer will take two arguments. First one will be the initial state and the second one will be the action, that which type of action has been dispatched from the action creator. I'm going to use JavaScript destructuring. There will be a payload which will contain the error message and error status. I'm going to use the switch statement just like I have used in the sign up reducer. So if there will be a case when there will be get errors, when there will be an error, then what will be returned? Then message which is empty at this time will be filled with the payload dot message, the message which will come with the payload, and status will be the status which will come from the payload. And if there is a default case, then what will happen? Then it will return the state as such. We'll export sign up reducer from the authentication, export everything from sign up reducer, and after that I'm going to export error reducer as well. export everything from error reducer. I'm going to close both the files. Now I'm going to define a root reducer in the index.js file. In the reducer, root reducer will combine all the reducer like sign up reducer and error reducer. Whenever any action will be dispatched by the UI or the component, then that action will go to the root reducer, and root reducer will decide that this specific action belongs to which reducer, whether it belongs to sign up, whether it belongs to error. So I am going to define that reducer in the index.js file of the reducer. Let's combine all the reducer. I will import combine reducers from Redux, and I shall import recently created sign up reducer from sign up reducer, and after that I shall import error reducer from here, and then I'm going to combine it in the root reducer. And what it is going to do, it will take combined reducer and it will combine sign up reducer with the error reducer and export default root reducer.